I think I need to revise my win-loss prediction for the Browns. Noah, just hit the thing.
Welcome to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Erik.
Cleveland!
Welcome into At the Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Erik, and I'm joined by my co-host, Noah. You can join us at the office as well. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or you can call or text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Noah, the Browns had themselves a preseason game. We'll get into that, but first, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing legendary. That is the only word that I can use to describe how I feel, how I'm currently feeling. I'm doing legendary. How was your birthday, man?
Birthday was good. Got to celebrate it with some of my closest friends. Some other close friends weren't there. They forced me into a night out and then took off for Cincinnati.
Yes, I was in
Wonder
Cincinnati. I'm
wonder who
sorry.
that was. But no, it was a good time. Had some drinks, had some at the office conversations. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I was saddened that I wasn't there, as you know, but I'm glad we're making it up tomorrow, going to the Guards game, and potentially some other plans throughout the week. Shall they come to fruition or they not?
What I don't know what those are, but yeah, looking forward to tomorrow in the Cards game at least. You have to fill me in on the rest later. Noah, I want to talk Browns, obviously. This is kind of billed as a reaction show to that first preseason game. Just so you guys watching know, we will be doing regular Monday shows from now on that are pretty much looking at the previous Browns and when it occurs Buckeye games as we head into football season. But first things first, Myles Garrett got a speeding ticket going 40 over. Obviously, it's relevant just with Shedeur as well as Myles having flipped his Porsche. Was that last year before? Not too long ago. Noah, big news or shrug of the shoulders?
It's mediocre news, and I will leave it at mediocre news because of the fact of how many times this has happened with one Myles Garrett and the fact that he hasn't learned his lesson. The amount he has had of speeding tickets since he got signed to the Cleveland Browns is 6. And we're talking 120 and a 70, 99 and a 70, 91 and a 60, 100 and a 60, 60 and a 45 in the rain and that was the rollover crash. And now August 2025, 100 and a 60. So yes, but no, because at the end of the day, as long as it's not affecting him on the field, I don't really care. It's tough. It's how many times do you have to learn your lesson, but how much does you get what I'm saying? I'm just like in between on it.
I'm going to say no for one reason. I don't think it's that important. Well, two reasons. Number one, we've talked about this on the show. If we were making millions of dollars and buying very fancy cars, you could damn well bet that we'd be getting speeding tickets at all or as well. But more importantly, I have a sound effect for this. You ready for it?
Sure, go for it, man.
Do you know what that sound effect was?
A sheep?
A goat, because Myles Garrett is the goat, and let him do what he wants. As long as he's not flipping the car or hurting others, I don't really care.
Yeah, I hope he's not hurting anybody, and maybe this one will be a wake-up call to make better decisions, but I don't foresee the national media grabbing onto this one like they did with Shedeur Sanders, which will be a testament to some of the media hoopla that we're going to have to deal with this season.
I think if there's a question regarding Myles, regarding Shedeur in this, is it a poor reflection of Cleveland Browns leadership? Now, they are grown-ass men that make decisions for themselves, but does it reflect poorly on Kevin Stefanski?
No, it doesn't reflect poorly on Kevin Stefanski. Eric, I've been in a car with you before where you have sped. I don't think that reflects poorly on your boss.
First of all, I didn't say it did. I was asking the question. Second of
Right.
all, I don't speed.
Okay, that's
I don't know
crazy.
what you're
But
talking about.
you get what I'm saying. No, it doesn't have anything to do with Kevin Stefanski. And anybody who's trying to spin a speeding ticket into that narrative is doing the thing that we do in August and we do in July and we do in June. And that's trying to create a narrative of something that isn't there or shouldn't be there to be discussed, period.
Well, I figured we might as well get it out before it's Stephen A or somebody else. Speaking of
Right.
Miles, he was awfully chummy on the sidelines with one Shedeur Sanders, which is where I want to start tonight. I want to talk quarterbacks. I want to talk quarterback battle, but specifically, I want to talk Shedeur Sanders and how he looked in that first preseason game. Um, for
Yeah,
my take, I mean, that
let me
was
jump
something.
let me jump in real quick. Sorry, I apologize, E. But you talked about Miles being chummy with Shador, and I thought that moment was really, really interesting. Because I don't know if you saw the clip. I responded to the clip, but it goes on about Shador like taking notes from one Miles Garrett on the sideline after he got pulled from the game, and we'll start talking about the game in a second. But at the end, Miles pats him on the back and says, "We're gonna need you soon. So don't take a hit from me," basically, because Shador was joking that he wanted to be sacked by Miles or what a rollout with him and Miles chasing after him would look like. So I thought that was really interesting, and I thought it was really interesting. It was probably the social media team at the Browns trying to reach and get some clicks, but that was included in the Browns video. What did you think though about Shador overall? In this preseason game, man.
He was impressive. I mean, if anybody watched that game and didn't think that Shador was impressive, I'm not sure what you were watching. One of my biggest takeaways, I think, was that he came off the field and he gave his immediate interview and he apologized to his dad. He said, "We didn't do what we were trying to do, but it was okay." Like, he knows that his ceiling is a lot higher than that. But he was 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the touchdowns looked good. He also had 19 yards on 4 carries. What I wanted to see out of Shador specifically, or that I should say that I was happy to see, he worked through his progressions. He made reads. That first touchdown pass, I think it was, that wasn't his first read. He was looking off to the right, and that developed a little later. I also like some of the athleticism that we saw. Listen, take everything with a grain of salt because the Panthers are terrible. Their defense is terrible. But he looked good. He didn't look like somebody trying to get up to speed at the next level because the speed is so vastly different. He looked like he was there to me.
Yeah, and you're talking about the touchdown passes, so let's get into that because I have some of the highlights here that I'm going to play while we talk. But when he was throwing these touchdown passes, it wasn't just like, oh, wide open guy in the end zone. My boy Shador was threading the needle when it came to throwing in the end zone, as you can see here to
Yeah,
one
look at
Caden
this.
Davis.
It's
It's
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful, some of the balls he was throwing, some of the placements he had, some of just the accuracy and just understanding of the game of football. It's a complete testament to how much this guy has put in to getting away from some of his bad habits that he had in Colorado. Did we see some of them? Yes. He was drifting out of the pocket and doing the spinaroo all the way 20, 25 yards back, trying to avoid pressure like he would do in college. But the amount of times he stood in the pocket, pressure in his face, and just threw the damn ball, it gets you excited for this kid's future, man. Don't you agree?
I do agree. Like you said, he's threading the needle. His touch looked good. He had that one. He overthrew the one guy that was wide open. He was rolling out to the left. You're gonna have that, obviously. That's where there's got to be a little more touch there. But for the most part, I'm not sure how you could complain about his performance. I was ecstatic. The looks on Deshaun and Dylan Gabriel's faces would say that they look like they're falling down the depth chart further. Which I
Yeah,
will
I
say,
wish I wish I pulled that picture, man, because that picture is hilarious of them just sitting there all glum. And it's just a good screen cap and people
That's
were
what I was.
memeing the
Yeah,
hell of it. But
that's exactly what I was gonna say. They pulled one image of those guys, or they looked over. They have neutral faces, and obviously it blew up. Um, but no, I mean, for a guy that came into the game on the fourth string as the fourth string guy, if he's not third, I'm not sure what the Browns are doing.
Well, the depth chart did, in fact, come out today. I don't know if you saw this, but Shedeur Sanders is still listed fourth right now. But I'm going to sit here and make the testament of the fact that this doesn't still matter. We're going into this Philadelphia week. I think we're going to see a good split of snaps. They had a lighter practice today here, Monday. We're recording this Monday if you're watching it after the fact. Shout out to everybody that's watching it live. But the rep split between all of the quarterbacks was pretty decently even, disregarding Kenny Pickett because he's still hurt. Sanders had about 15 reps. Dylan Gabriel had about 15 reps. Flacco had 12, of course, all with the ones. But the interesting thing, comparatively speaking to a lot of the last, now Shedeur was getting some reps with the twos, but it was pretty evenly split between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders working with that second string offense. Whereas it was more, 70-30 leaning in Dylan Gabriel's favor before this game. So while Shedeur is still listed at 4 right now, it doesn't bother me. Does it bother you, E?
No, it doesn't. I think it. Listen, everything we've heard from him, and I've said this week in and week out, he's put his head down and he's worked, and I think he's going to continue to do the same thing. I don't know that the depth chart matters, frankly, to really anyone in that building. I think that it's something that they put out, but I don't think that we know that that's. I don't know that all four quarterbacks will be on this final roster. They could be, but I'm not sure that we're done potentially making moves because I also think that we're going to add another wide receiver, which we can talk about in a minute.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a minute, especially with an injury. Not that they're exactly correlated by any means, but back to the quarterbacks and back to Shedeur for a second. I want to know what you think. What do you grade this performance? Because obviously the big quotable from Shedeur was he gave himself a C plus and he thought he could have done way better. If you're grading this, looking at a guy who is a rookie, regardless of the draft position, I don't care about the draft position because he's not fifth round talent. We all knew he was not fifth round talent.
Mm-hmm.
What do you grade his first NFL outing? Give me a letter grade. And I hate the letter grades normally, but this time, because he brought it up on national TV, I'm fine with a letter grade.
I was thinking like a 7.5 out of 10. I know that's not a letter. But the reason I say it is because that would be like the C plus range.
Yeah.
But that said, watching it, when you said letter grade, my instant thought was probably a B minus.
Okay.
I'm not sure that he could have done a whole lot more. He missed a couple throws. People were giving him flack for that little run back and forth. But what I saw out of that is that he didn't try to force a throw. That was what excited me in that play. He used his feet to avoid some tackles. Could that be negative in the future where you catch a guy that, oh shit, he's a lot quicker than I thought, and then all of a sudden you took a 15-yard loss? Yes, that's an issue. But he held on to it and just ran out of bounds. Like it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I thought he actually kept his head there. So I thought he had a pretty solid performance. I'll say B plus, honestly.
Okay, so Tim Lyon said the same thing in the chat. I was going to say B plus too, because if you would have told me that the Browns took him, say, top of the second round, or we traded back into the first, or even arguably with the second overall pick, and this was the performance he put out there, say he was second string quarterback or first string, maybe they don't sign anyone depending on what happens there, I would give it a B plus. Yeah, there was some tendencies that he carried over from college that I didn't want to see, the drifting in the pocket, the rolling around in the backfield like we talked about. But it's not like either of his touchdown passes were wide open or nothing. I can't get back. I cannot fathom the fact of how perfect those balls were. I mean, that one in the back corner of the end zone, there were 2 defenders there. If he doesn't put the right touch on that, that's an interception. It was a beautiful ball. Same thing
Perfect.
with the first touchdown. It was just exactly what you want to see out of a guy. He went out there, he lived up to expectations, and dare I say, the hype is real. And you want to know why I think the hype is real? Because we've
Why?
reached a fever pinch. And the fever pinch is the LeBron James tweet, Eric. Because we got not 1, but 2 LeBron James tweets
Well, before you
about
read it, you
Shedeur
should probably
Sanders.
know it's a fever pitch, like
Oh, it's
pitch
not
going up. But
pinch.
no, it's
Well, I
pitch. But
learned
go
something
on.
new today right here on live. My bad,
But
my
go
bad.
but go ahead. Tell me about the fever pitch.
Yeah, the fever pitch itself. LeBron James says, that young king looking good out there at Shedeur Sanders. Keep going up. Head down on the grind and head up to the most high. And then he responds after that and says, and I don't want to hear any of that. It's only preseason BS, because if he was out there not going in, y'all would be on his ass about it. So give credit and grace. Lames is the exact quote.
I love it. I do want to move on to talk about some of the other players, but before we do, early in the game, so we opened this as a cold open, and I said I need to revise my win-loss prediction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I said that, because early on in that first quarter, like real early on, I just wasn't feeling it. We looked like the same hapless Browns. I was actually watching it with my dad, and at one point he said, and I quote, and I apologize for the language, Kevin Stefanski's a fucking moron. Even in preseason, he's a moron. Because we had some questionable play calling from Stefanski early on,
Eric, don't
but they settled
start,
into
man.
the game well.
Don't start with the play calling. He said it today on his press conference. They're running the most base of base offense to get everybody to get a feel and get a look at them. So no, he's not going to call anything great. He called the one end around, and that probably pissed you off, because that pisses off every fan. We're talking about
The
2 times.
end around was dumb. Running up the middle on second and like 11 was pretty dumb to put us in third and long. I mean, I get it. Listen, I don't take much credence to. I did say my dad said that, by the way. I don't
Oh,
take
okay, my
much
bad.
credence in preseason play calling, but we do have history to back up from Stefanski's play calling, and he does make some calls at times that make you go, I don't know about that.
I think that is a NFL thing in general. And the more and more I listen to some of these other talking heads from other, say, networks, or say even here within Fans First, our network provider, that everybody just hates their offensive coordinator and thinks they can call the call better, and is the armchair quarterback when it comes to that. I understand some of the frustration with Kevin Stefanski, but I'm going to say something that's going to piss you off, and it's my old adage that I use on the show, and that is, he's the 2-time coach of the year for a reason, and I trust his play calling.
Listen, that's a dumb reason, but I will say that I'm not saying there's better out there. I don't want to get rid of Kevin Stefanski. That's not what I'm saying at all. I don't want another press conference, though, in the regular season of, yeah, we just got to do better. I got to do better.
You're going to get that, because
Oh,
he's
I'm so
Mr.
sick of that.
No
Just come up with
answer
something
himself.
else. Come
Okay,
up with something else. All
regardless,
right, I want to
we got
get
a
into
view-
other players, but before we do,
We got a viewer question real quick that's on topic here. So before you cut us to break, I want to bring it up real quick. Are you cool with that?
well, yeah, go for it.
Tyler Ellsworth asks, action rollout opinions. So talking about some of those play calls. And I'm taking this at the perspective of Shedeur Sanders, because I thought he looked very crisp in play action underneath center, rolling out, doing that kind of thing, when that wasn't something he did at Colorado. So I want to give flowers to Shedeur for that. And in the type of offense Kevin Stefanski wants to run, play action all day, every day makes sense. You run the play action. So I'm a big fan of it, and I thought it looked awesome for week 1 of the preseason. What did you think, E?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's not only the fact that yes, he hasn't been under center a lot, but getting a guy that's mobile out of the pocket in an offense that's going to be tight end heavy as well, and like you alluded to, being run heavy, Absolutely, I want to see more of that. I like the
Yep.
designed rollouts, and when they were in the end zone, I was calling the plays, from the couch. That was exactly what I said. I'm like, all right, play action rollout right here because that's what I want to see. So yeah, I'm happy about that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it fits the offense perfectly. And I think it fits Shedeur Sanders perfectly, which is something I have beat the drum of pre draft because I thought he fits Stefanski's offensive scheme and is the type of quarterback that would thrive in Stefanski's offensive scheme to a T.
All right, we're gonna cut to a break in just a second, but before we do, At the Office is sponsored by D&D Meadery, makers of the finest mead in Northeast Ohio. Twin brothers Derek and Dominic, they turned their German winemaking roots into liquid gold. Centuries of tradition now bottled up for you. It's not just mead; it's history reborn. And trust me, it's some good stuff. We'll both talk to that, and our former host John will say it too. He goes through a lot of bottles. Um, Here's the best part. If you use the code @the-office CLE when you order, you'll get an extra 5% off your order. And if you order 2 or more bottles, you'll get this free shot glass as well. Noah will tell you it is not dishwasher safe. That just has to be part of the read now. We say it every
No,
time.
it's 100% a part of the read because I'm still sad I'm missing my shot glass because I love that shot glass because it had our sponsor's logo on it. Go ahead,
Which,
Erik.
speaking of, Noah puts his shot glass in the dishwasher. It shatters, right?
Yep.
Or did it shatters? Okay. And then the following day I get the, "Hey, you should give me your shot glass, bro." Like I didn't put mine in the dishwasher. Anyway,
Shout out to
order
when I was still working with your ass.
2 or more bottles, you can get that shot glass as well. Visit dndmeadery.org. You could find a retail location, or you could just order online, which you should, so you can use that code. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. We're going to continue breaking down the preseason game, but we're going to take a quick break first, and we'll talk more offense and then defense. There's some interesting things left, but we'll be back after this. Welcome back to At the Office. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check us out on Instagram and TikTok. All of our socials are at the at symbol, the Office CLE. So we're pretty easy to find. Make sure that you get some merch soon. I'm not going to keep saying that we're developing new merch. We are. We got to get it up. I apologize for that. But you've seen some of it and it looks really cool. And Noah, I think, just placed an order or is about to place an order.
I haven't ordered it yet, but I have been playing plenty and plenty of pickleball. So I needed the At the Office pickleball shirt that Erik wore during our Hofbrauhaus House live show. So I have the files. I just had an expensive weekend in Cincinnati with the girlfriend's family, though. So it's on the back burner. I don't need another t shirt like I need groceries and the electric bill and.
No, that's fair. Head on over, if I could speak, head on over to attheofficecle.com, though. There will be some updates soon, I promise. Let's get back to it. I want to stick with the offense, Noah, and talk about wide receiver, because this is one of those areas where a lot of people think that we're falling short, that we don't have a true number
Yeah.
one. Obviously, we didn't see the full offense out there. I think that it would have been more complementary to the game plan, running all the personnel. But we did see one. We've been hyping up the local kid, Luke Floria, all preseason, all camp. And then we got to see him in action. And I'll say this, he did have one hell of a one handed catch. I think it was like a 30-yard grab.
Yeah.
Here it is.
It was deep.
Look at that pocket presence, by the way.
Love Shedeur Sanders. Wrists up, baby.
Such a great catch. Unfortunately, on that catch, he destroyed his hamstring a little bit. But before that catch is what I really want to talk about just for a moment with him. He was returning everything, kickoffs, punts, and he looked lost. I don't know. I didn't follow his career at Kent. I assume he
I
returned
don't
some.
think anyone blames you for not following his career at Kent, considering they were like,
They didn't
I
win
think they went, yeah, they lost every game. They were the worst team in college football last year. I always
Correct.
get them and Akron mixed up because they were 1A, 1B, worst team in football last year, and they're rivals.
Yeah, Kent did not have a season to remember, that's for sure. But my point is, I mean, I'm not sure that any of those kickoffs didn't take a bounce first. And to be fair, he recovered it well, but not what I wanted to see. Your butthole puckers a little anytime the Browns have to return a football.
That
I,
is
I
a crazy statement to have on not only the live, but going on to our YouTube
but was
channel
it wrong?
and the podcast feeds. No, you're not wrong. I just had to call you out on
Bingo.
that.
Uh, my point being, obviously, he wouldn't have been the return guy. We waived him today. We'll see what happens because obviously it's due to injury. But didn't impress me, I got to say. So let's talk receivers, Noah. Tell me what you saw. Are we still going to add a guy? Because I think we are.
I don't think we're going to add a guy, and it's only because we are not in the win now window as much as that may pain some of the people listening to our show or not pain the people listening to our show because they understand where the Cleveland Browns are at. Can they make some noise? Can they win some games this year? Can they surprise us 100%? But I don't think we're going to be selling any of our premium assets in terms of the draft to go add a wide receiver now. Especially if you're talking a big name, a true number one, if you don't think Jerry Judy's a number one. That being said,
He's like a 1B.
I think he has the talent and the ability to be a number one. We just need to see it in back-to-back seasons, which we are most likely going to be able to see this year.
But you put him
Um,
up against, say, Terry McLaurin or
Terry was a late bloomer. You don't know. I mean, he went through the
you
ringer
get
in
my point,
Denver
though.
and then came here and had a 1,000-yard season with
I'm not
14 different.
shitting on Judy. There's a prototypical wide receiver one, and he doesn't really fill that right now.
Right
He's
now,
great,
but he
but
was drafted to be a wide receiver one back in the day. I was about to say legendary and double down on the Shedeur Sanders vernacular, but he was great in Alabama for that type of thing. So why not?
because he's
I don't think
small.
that. Who cares? There's a lot of small wide receivers that
No,
work out really
again,
well. Tyreek
not
Hill,
taken away from Judy. He's
Tyreek
not,
Hill.
like I said, he's not the prototypical big-bodied receiver you think is a number one. Isn't Amari Cooper still out there, by the way? He
Who
hasn't
wants
signed, has he?
Amari Cooper? He was washed.
Why
Why
not
do you
just
want to
add
bring
him?
back?
Why not?
Why?
For
Why do
vet
you want to?
minimum?
This is like the third time you've brought it up on the show, E, and it's starting to bother me because who wants to bring back washed Amari Cooper? He's not signed for a reason. Stop having your rose-tinted Browns goggles on and move on.
I mean, my number one would be Terry McLaurin. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but man, do I want it to happen.
They're not going to give up a first for him, and that's probably what Washington's commanding. I
We
want to
talked
talk about
about,
the.
hold on. I will get back into it, but I want to pause there because we talked about yesterday, you and I, or a couple days ago, whatever, but we talked about hopefully Shedeur Sanders works out as a quarterback so that we can use our two number one picks or two first round picks next year for potential. Your words were potentially receiver and offensive line help.
Right.
You have a number one receiver. Why not trade that pick to one of those picks to get him?
Because you can't do that right now. And Tim Lyons just called you out. Jerry Jeudy is 6'1", just like Jamar Chase. Do you know football, Eric?
I do know football, Tim, and your Bengals are going to suck this year too. So good luck.
Anyway, back to it. I get what you're saying, but we just went through this draft capital shuffling with Deshaun Watson. I don't want to trade a first round pick right now. There's no reason to trade a first round pick right now because we are not projected to be good. So
No.
why would you move off of a pick, especially in the first round when you don't know who your quarterback is? You have the ability to trade up and get a quarterback, say Shedeur, say Dylan, say Kenny, say I'm not even going to say Flacco because he might retire after this season. Do not work out.
Okay. Go
I'm
on
all
with
the
what
way
we
off of it.
saw for the rest of the receivers, though.
Yeah, so obviously the Luke Floria news is unfortunate. Prayers to him that he rests up, and I hope to God that we get to land him on our IR because he could be a fun back end of the roster developmental piece that we can just keep rolling with. Caden Davis, though, University of Kansas, caught both of Shedeur Sanders' touchdown passes, was a
did.
reliable target throughout the whole first half. He was awesome to see. Brendan Bates, the tight end, had a great game, 2 receptions for 34 yards, key 25-yard catch. Cade McDonald, 41 yards, caught the touchdown pass from Tyler Huntley late in the game. And Cameron Mitchell, which is someone we've talked about on the show because he went to Miami of Ohio. I wanted to bring him up because he did see some action, but he did not catch a ball. So keep an eye on him to maybe
Sal
make some
Cannella.
noise. Oh, Sal Cannella. Yeah, jump into Sal Cannella, man.
Yeah, I mean, he had 3 receptions for 4 targets, and I want to say a long of 19, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it's something like that. I don't have the exact stats pulled up for him. I don't know how I missed him in my show prep because he has been all over training camp. He has been all over the close, the open, the whatever practices you want to talk about, the group practices. He has been a highlight. Tim
I
Lyons
liked him.
asked
He looked good.
this is I agree. He's looked awesome so far. So let's keep it rolling. Same thing with one Harold Fannin. He saw limited minutes, but he continues to impress at camp and these joint practices and stuff. I can't wait to see him on the field, man.
Yeah. You said that Tim Lyons was asking any news on Judkins.
Correct.
The latest news is that he waived his right to a speedy trial. Um, that's fairly typical, but it also means that it's going to play out in the court of law and be a lengthy process. So, last that we've heard is he is fighting this thing tooth and nail. He does not plan to settle if that's an option. I'm not sure if it is. So, it should be interesting, but ownership obviously thinks he'll be a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well. I saw some rumors online. I don't know if there's validity to them, so I don't want to put, too much stock into it, but that he is trying to settle behind the scenes to get back to the field as quickly as possible.
Who stood out to you, though, of the running backs that did play? I'll say I was a little disappointed. I wanted to see more of Dylan Sampson. I think he had 2 carries.
Yeah, so Dylan Sampson, to me, it makes sense why they didn't play him too much in the first game. You got to keep, the back that you're hoping is the boom right now because your boom back is not signed to your roster. One, Quinshon Judkins. So I get why he didn't play. I was hoping to see more of him too and kind of get a real feel for him. But from what all I've seen at practice and what I've read and, seen from some of the eyewitness reports, he's been good. So I will table that conversation for now. The running back that impressed me the most though was one Amani Marshall. What
Amani,
about you,
yeah.
Eric? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Amani looked good. Travion Williams didn't look bad either.
Yeah.
He broke one off there. Um, Honestly, I was going into the game, I was a little hesitant to. That's one of the areas that makes me the most nervous on this team. And I thought they looked decent. I know it's preseason. I know it's the Panthers and the Panthers defense. So I can't put a ton on it, but I thought they looked solid.
I thought they looked solid too. Amani Marshall, I wanted to get back to him for a second. 8 carries,
Yeah,
32 yards, 4 yards per carry average. He
it's
looked
good average.
awesome a couple times. He set up Sanders for the first touchdown after that muff punt. They got him closer to the end zone. Uh, to me,
Yeah.
it's promising more so for the offensive line side of things as well, because it's a sign of good things to come, I think. And the fact that we are moving back to some of the scheme things that worked for this offensive line in the past and completely canning the Ken Dorsey system that we brought in to try to make Deshaun Watson succeed last year. I'm a really excited to see what this run game can do, despite the fact that we may not have what we pictured to be the bell cow in Quinshon Judkins for week 1.
Gage had a touchdown as well, that end
Yes, he did.
around um, on his 1 carry, which is funny.
Yeah.
Let's switch now to defense and special teams. Um, Defense is a little hard to gauge because so many of the starters are out. So I'm not sure what there is to talk about. I mean, there's plenty to talk about, but
I got something I want to talk about.
sure, go ahead.
That big bad MFer from UCLA, Carson Sweshinger, played 13 total snaps, had 6 total tackles, 4 of them being solo. He lit it up in very limited play. He looked great. And I want to give a shout out to Alex Wright, too, which is a 3rd round defensive end that we
Had a
took kind of
sack.
as a developmental piece. He had a sack. And he seems, after having the issues and the injuries that he had last year, I believe he separated his shoulder or something like that, which set him out for the year. He recorded a sack, and he seems to be back on that upward trajectory in which he was last season. So that's good to see, considering the edge depth has been awesome, it seems like, this year. We don't have a big star name like a Jadeveon Clowney or even Zadarius Smith in years past, but some of these young players seem to be stepping up super well, and I'm really, really excited to see what happens with these defensive ends.
You missed somebody.
Go ahead.
Aiden Huntington had a hell of a game.
Yes,
He
he had a
had
sack as well.
6 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, 2 QB hits, and he was putting in work on special teams as well. He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. The defense looked very much like we are going back to what 2023 was, and I say that, with a little bit of pause because it's a preseason game, but I
Yeah.
do mean that. The defense seems to be back to the level of production that they can achieve with the amount of talent that is on that side of the ball, especially with the addition of one Mason Graham and one Carson Schlesinger.
What about the veteran Nick Needham? He had
Had
a
an
pick.
interception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a good one too. He jumped that.
Yes, he did.
Um,
That was awesome to see. Shout out the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. Unfortunate, but I'm
he's
glad
got
you're
to
there
hang
to
it up,
mentor
man.
Bryce Young.
He's
What'd
got to
you
hang
say?
it up.
It'll be there eventually. He's taking that mentorship role with Bryce Young, which is cool to see. I like seeing veteran quarterbacks step into that role.
Andy, who would make the playoffs every year for Tim's Bengals, but never win a playoff game for them. Safety's an interesting position for Brown. So is Needham a guy that can maybe step into a role?
I don't think so. No, I think the rules are pretty set with Ronnie Harrison and Grant Telpit, but special teams reps are out there, and it's always an injury away. So to have, some decently good looking play, even when we're getting to the third and fourth stringers, makes me excited and happy to look forward to what's next for this Cleveland Browns defense. I wanted to talk
Speaking,
to you,
just
unless you
real
have more
quick, because
defense.
you brought up special teams.
Okay, I wanted to go special teams too. I wanted to talk kicker. What did you want to talk?
I wanted to talk generality. So we could start with kicker because are you referring to the Bajorquez punt?
I'm not referring to the Bojorquez punt. I'm
Okay.
referring to Dustin Hopkins still continuing to scare the absolute shit out of me personally. How do you feel about Dustin Hopkins?
Literally, he came up and my dad goes, "Wait, is that?" And I go, "Yep, Dustin Hopkins." And he goes, "Oh God." And then proceeding every kick from there goes, "Oh, this one's going left." Yeah, agreed. Scared the shit out of me. I brought up Corey Bajorquez because he had that 62-yard punt that pinned them within the 10. That was cool. What I meant by special teams, though, so to answer your question, yes, that does scare the hell out of me. If we have the opportunity to go sign somebody,
They
I say
brought
we
in the
take it.
best kicker from the UFL to be in camp, and they haven't even given him real reps against any type of live unit. I mean, okay, I say I don't get it. I do get it because of how much money we paid him, but I don't get it because who cares if he has the yips and it's over with? It's over with. You can't force a kicker, especially in the National Football League.
Isn't remember the Penn State kicker? What was his name?
I
Wore the
you're
glasses, Blankenship. Remember him?
Oh yeah, he's
Isn't
still out there too, but
I was gonna
I'm pretty sure he had a shaky year in the UFL. So
because he was with the Colts last for the NFL, right? Or
yeah,
maybe that's
I
who
think he
drafted
bounced
him.
around. That's where he was at for a while. But yeah, he bounced around. Why do you
Kickers
ask?
kicker's one of those weird positions where it feels like some guys should get like I'll see guys on Instagram saying, "Hey, give me the tryout because I played in college and I'm kicking off a stand 60-yarders." But you put them in a game and it's all mental. I think physically every kicker pretty much has the same physical tools.
Yeah,
Kind of like track stars in the Olympics. Unless you're what's his name from Jamaica.
Usain Bolt. Yeah,
Yeah, unless you're him, physically you're pretty much the same. It comes down to mental, and some guys just can't cut it. Clearly, I mean, who was the Cade? No, who did we draft? That
yeah. Cade York.
Cade
You're
York,
correct.
yeah, had the biggest leg of all time, and just couldn't. I mean, that
Yeah,
guy could
and then he
not
went to
dial it
New
in.
York and couldn't do it, and all of that as well.
So
I am going to keep my eyes peeled for special teams because I thought Bubba Ventrone was one of the coordinators that should have got canned after last season, and he's still very much here, obviously. So, what happens with kicker? What happens with some of these miscommunications, whether it be punt or kick returning as well? My eyes are peeled for that because special teams, while it doesn't always feel important, is very important, and if we are not succeeding there for what feels like not three because Dustin Hopkins was good the first year, but 2 years in a row, that should be cause for expulsion or something like that for Bubba Ventrone in my mind.
yeah, I say special teams is so important because the Browns weren't doing a whole lot on offense, and that's why off the rip, watching the game, I was thinking, God, they are going to be terrible this year. Everyone's right, because they really weren't moving the ball a whole lot, and then that muff punt flipped the field, and Shedeur scores his first touchdown. Um, I think Shedeur looked great. Don't get me wrong. All the things we want to see, like pocket presence, scanning the
You don't got to
field,
reiterate it. They could listen to the
you
first half of this.
you get it though. But my point is, when he got hot was against Carolina's second team.
Yeah.
So there is some growing to do, and it'll be interesting. But I have no doubt in my mind after seeing that game that he will get real playing time this year in the NFL.
Yeah, I think all signs were good from this game, and I'm excited to see what happens. Not only with the joint practice Wednesday and Thursday against the Eagles, but as well as that preseason game Saturday at 1 p.m. in Philadelphia, and really see what this team is made of. Okay, that hurt my ear, so I'm sorry to the viewers for Eric's horrible sound effect there.
I couldn't hear it. I just says bird of prey. Um,
Oh,
we do have the Eagles next, though. Uh, we talked about going to that game, Noah and I. Noah backed out. I get it. It's a bit of a turnaround to go to Philly for a preseason game.
yep.
Uh, but I did think that it would have been fun. What do you expect to see though, quickly, from that game in Philly?
I expect to see more growth. I think it'll be a little more shaky. I plan on expanding on this Philadelphia game a bit more on our Wednesday show,
Hmm.
but I think it'll be growth, and I'm really curious to see what some of those joint practices looked like and go from there and really give you an opinion.
Dylan Gabriel will likely get time in that game. Who else
Yeah,
do you think?
I think it'll be majority Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, maybe a little bit of Tyler Huntley. He was still there at practice today, so maybe they have him eat up some of the reps because they're worried about the Pickett injury, and they're not going to play Flacco until the third game or at all, in my opinion.
So is
So
that the third now? Because it used to be that the starting quarterback would play at least the first series in the third preseason game when there were four. So now there's only three preseason games. So when does Flacco take over for a series, or does he?
it's all on the coaches at this point. History says he won't, but they've also gone against the grain in terms of what this team has done so far with that, having more physical practice, having practices, having more, compete periods and whatnot. So maybe he does, but, it's still going to only be like a series, 5, 6, 7 plays at max
All
in
right,
game three,
Noah,
that is.
I think we covered the first preseason game pretty well. Is there anything that we missed or that you want to bring up?
No, I just want to keep talking about Shedeur, keep hyping up my guy because he gave me every promising sign and then some to be a potential guy for this franchise. And I don't feel overreacting when I say that, like how we were kind of overreacting when DTR looked good in the Hall of Fame game. No, Shedeur commanded an offense. There were no penalties. There were no issues. He was threading the needle. The defense looks great. The Browns have looked good. I'm excited for this season, not in the aspect that I think we're going to the bowl, but I'm excited because we are at a low expectation point and we can just have fun with it and see what we got. What do you think,
Um,
man?
yeah, no, I'm with you. I will say you've seen the movie Taken, right, with Liam Neeson?
No.
What?
I
You're really
you
not a
I'm not a
movie guy,
movie
are
guy
you?
like you. We've done
Uh,
this.
Anyway, almost everybody else in the world will understand when I say I have a particular set of skills. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if I see another YouTube comment that we're hating on Shedeur, um, again, when we never have, then I will find you and I will hunt you down because we have nothing but praise.
I put out a tweet when the game was going on Friday. That just reminded me real quick. I know you're trying to wrap us, but I was talking about how nice he looks in the red zone because he went 3 for 3 in the red zone and had 2 dots in the red zone for touchdowns. And someone responded like I was hating and was like, look at your hating ass or something like that. And I just didn't even give it the time of day because if you pay attention to any of my takes, you know I am very, very pro Shedeur Sanders. And yes, Christine, I have not seen Taken.
Thank you, Christine. It's wild to me, too. All right. That's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you for joining us at The Office, sponsored by D&D Meadery. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of our show. And make sure you check us out on all of our socials, the @symbol, The Office CLE. The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.